This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sob like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Well, the Knicks, I don't want to say pulled it out, but I guess they pulled it out after giving up a 17-point lead. I think that's the biggest lead that they had on the night. They get the win versus the Detroit Pistons, ladies and gentlemen, 121-112. Wasn't a perfect game for the Knicks, but it was a game that they needed. Let's say that. They had to get this win over the Detroit Pistons, and Cornerstone Kev came in earlier in the game preview and said the Knicks were going to take the L. Well, he was wrong. And as usual, when someone is wrong, they don't show up to the post-game show. Cornerstone Kev don't want to face the music. But anyway, good enough win by the New York Knicks. I guess I'll say that. Good enough win. I would have liked to see them get a better win. Up all night, it was kind of up and down. They build the lead and then lose the lead and build the lead and then lose the lead. I still felt that the perimeter defense was a little leaky. Guys were getting open three-point shots. The Pistons just weren't knocking down those shots. So while I'm glad that they got the win, I'm not exactly impressed about the win. But you take what you can get, and hopefully they can build off of it. Big games for the big three. RJ Barrett, he had 30 points tonight. 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Shot well from the field, 58.8% from the field. He also shot 37.5% from the three-point line. So that's a good game for RJ Barrett, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to bring the box score across the screen so you can look at it while I'm talking. That's a good game for RJ Barrett. Jalen Brunson, 26 points, 7 assists, 4 steals. He was 8 for 16 from the field, 2 for 5 from the three-point line for 40%. So very good game from Jalen Brunson. And Julius Randle played an okay game, 21 points. He was 8 for 14 from the field, 0 for 7 from the three-point line. So the past 2 games previous to tonight, Julius Randle was knocking down those threes. So I guess he, was going to continue to test and see if he was going to remain hot from that three-point line. Didn't tonight, 0 for 7. And I'm listen, we all knew that wasn't going to last for Julius Randle. He wasn't going to, all of a sudden become a sniper. That's the wrong number 30. But I guess if you've been making them the last 2 games, you got to take him to see if he's still hot. He wasn't hot. I don't want to exactly say he took it inside, but, during the down the stretch of the game when he needed to score, he scored on the inside. So I guess he did what he had to do in that regard. I'd like for him to recognize a little bit earlier that he's not hitting from the three-point line. After you miss 2 or 3 of them, you're probably not hitting. Take it to the cup. Now, Tom Thibodeau may scream and yell at him for hesitating to take the shot, so I don't know exactly what they're telling him in practice. You dig? Anyway, he was 0 for 7 from the three-point line tonight. 8 rebounds for Julius Randle, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. The Knicks did a pretty good job taking care of the basketball tonight. Only 3 players in double digits for the Knicks. Only 3 players, but they had a lot of guys put the ball in the basket. Emmanuel Quickly, he had 8 points and 5 rebounds. Obi Toppin had 8 points and 5 rebounds. Quickly also had 2 steals. He had 1 assist. Obi Toppin had 1 steal, 1 assist, and 1 block. Derrick Rose had 8 points and 2 assists. Quentin Grimes had 5 points. Evan Fournier had 3 points. Jericho Sims had 2 points and 4 rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein had 6 points and 12 rebounds. Cam Reddish had 4 points. So everybody who touched the floor tonight for the New York Knicks scored the basketball. That's a good thing. It's always a good thing. For the Detroit Pistons, ladies and gentlemen, let me get the Pistons scorecard on the board. They were led in scoring by Bogdanovic. He had 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Didn't knock down a 3, though. He was 9 for 15 from the field. Then you had Isaiah Stewart, who had 13 points and 8 rebounds. Amadou Diallo, 13 points. Killian Hayes had 11. Sadiq Bey had 11 points and 5 rebounds. Jaden Ivey had 10 points and 4 assists. But this is a young, listen, the Pistons are a young, scrappy team. They'll get, they're going to get better. And then Alec Burks was in town, ladies and gentlemen. Alec Burks did what he normally does. 17 points, 2 rebounds for Alec Burks. Didn't shoot it well from the three-point line. He knocked down 1, to close the gap at one point for the Pistons. But he was 5 for 12 from the field, 6 for 8 from the three-point line. Alec Burks, your consummate professional, ladies and gentlemen. Came back to Madison Square Garden and, performed admirably. And you seen him at the end of the game shaking hands with all of his former teammates, stuff like that. He was well-liked. Seemed like he was well-liked by the entire Knicks squad. Let's take a look at some of the other numbers behind the game and averages and percentages and all that kind of stuff. The Knicks out-rebounded by the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks shouldn't be out-rebounded. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. The Knicks out-rebounded the Pistons. I looked at it wrong, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks out-rebounded the Pistons 47-43. Now, I was going to say, the Knicks shouldn't be getting out-rebounded. Only 23 assists for the New York Knicks tonight, 22 for the Detroit Pistons. Now, a few guys had assists. I think Randall had 5 assists. RJ Barrett had 5 assists. Jalen Brunson had 7 assists. But the Knicks didn't shoot particularly well from the field, especially from the three-point line. They shot well from 2, but they were not good at all from the three-point line. The Knicks were 25% from the three-point line, 44.7% from the field. But the Pistons weren't much better. They were 22.6% from the three-point line. Finally, the Knicks took care of the basketball. The past few games, they've been averaging 15 to 16 turnovers per game. You're not, if you're not a team that shoots really efficient from the field, you need every possession. You cannot afford to waste possessions. So if you're averaging 15, 16 turnovers and you're not shooting well from the field, you're putting yourself at a real disadvantage. They took care of the basketball tonight, even though they didn't shoot well from the field. 11 turnovers for the Knicks, 15 turnovers for the Pistons. Knicks only 3 blocks. No surprise there without Mitchell Robinson out there on the floor. 7 steals for the Knicks, 6 blocks for the Pistons, 6 steals for the Pistons as well. Knicks scored 60 points in the paint. 20 second chance points for the Knicks, only 7 fast break points. So the Knicks get the win. A much needed win. Especially after that debacle in Brooklyn. The energy was better. I think that was number one, right? They came out with the right energy to start the game. It's probably kind of easy to come out with that energy against the Detroit Pistons. But I'm pretty sure the Knicks were motivated and understood, listen, we got to come out and, we can't come out and play soft. We can't come out and be lazy. We got to make the hustle plays. We got to work. So that's number one. The Knicks came out with the right energy, the right mindset for this particular basketball game. Secondly, I think the Knicks are just confident against the Detroit Pistons. They feel like they're the superior team, and they are the superior team. I'm not exactly sure they performed as if they're the superior team in the first half. At least that first quarter, let me say that, not the first half, the first quarter. In the first quarter, the Pistons gave the Knicks just about all they could handle, to be honest with you. It wasn't until just about the end of the first quarter, I think Julius Randle scored a layup on a fast break from R.J. Barrett. The Knicks were up 21-20, and then the bench came in and they extended that lead out a little bit more. The Knicks built like a 15, 16-point lead in the first half. The bench guys did, and then slowly but surely, the Pistons started to battle their way back into the game. By halftime, the Knicks were leading 68-58 after having a 16-point lead, but they still had a double-digit lead. R.J. Barrett had 20 points at the half, shooting the ball well. In the second half of the game, the starters came out, ladies and gentlemen, and seemed to turn the game up. Built a 17-point lead. The bench came in and gave the game back. Up and down. This team is up and down. Sometimes you can see it in the games. They're up and down. This team can go through droughts without scoring the basketball. It's been like that, 4, 5, 6 possessions without scoring the ball. Part of it, when you look at the scoring breakdown and you got 3 guys in double digits, and I'm glad that everybody scored, you know what I mean? But the Knicks don't have a reliable fourth option, let's say that is going to get you double digits every night. And that's part of the issue with them going through scoring droughts. Emmanuel quickly, you thought he was going to be one of those options. Derrick Rose, he doesn't get the minutes to be one of those options. At least right now, he doesn't get those minutes. So it makes it hard for Derrick Rose to be, that fourth definite scoring option. When he's out there, he's a threat. But his limited minutes means he's going to give you limited points. So I think that's going to remain a struggle for the Knicks. Evan Fournier, he's just, I don't know if he's not comfortable with the second unit right now, or maybe he lost some confidence because he went to the bench. Even, he wasn't burning up the house when he was in the first unit, but he was a little bit more comfortable of, I guess, knowing where his shot was going to come from. Evan Fournier. He looks a little bit lost in the second unit to me. And that's troubling because he's the guy that most of us thought would be that fourth option, would be the guy to give you 12 to 14 points per game. So that's a struggle. Cam Reddish is not giving you that. He's been starting. He's not giving you that offensive output. But somebody's got to do it. Over the past day or so, there's obviously been questions about Derrick Rose and his playing time. Obviously, Derrick Rose has injury history, so people are afraid that if you play Derrick Rose for too long, he's going to eventually get injured. And you may not even see him get injured. You may not, he might not get bumped or fall on a knee or twist an ankle. But the more that he plays, the more debris ends up in his knees, and then he's got to get it cleaned out and stuff like that. His knees, his ankles. And I think that's where the fear comes with the Knicks. With giving Derrick Rose so many minutes. But he's likely the guy that can be that fourth scoring option for you. He's got the speed still. He's got the aggressiveness and toughness going to the basket. He can knock down the mid-range. He can float it. He can knock down the three now. He can score at all three levels. I don't know. Somebody's got to step up and be that fourth scoring option to help the Knicks stay out of droughts, I think. Because against the Pistons, you can survive a drought. You're not going to survive a drought against the Denver Nuggets, the Phoenix Suns, Portland Trail Blazers, teams we got coming up soon, right? I'm not sure about the Utah Jazz yet. That's why I didn't mention those guys. You may not survive that drought versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's who the Knicks play next. They're on their way to OKC. So the Knicks got to find somebody, or somebody has to step up, not find somebody. They know who they have out there on the floor. Somebody's got to step up and be that fourth scoring option. Tonight, the Knicks decided to start Isaiah Hartenstein, and I think that's the right move. I was surprised when Jericho Sims got the start. Started for 2 games. Hartenstein gives you a lot. He's just more knowledgeable of the basketball game than Jericho Sims right now. You know what I mean? So he's more comfortable being in that starting lineup. We talked about it on the game preview earlier today. And whether or not it was the right move starting Jericho Sims. I understood the move, right? The move was about trying to keep that bench intact, and maybe ensuring that the starting unit remains comfortable with the style of play that Mitchell Robinson has, because Jericho Sims plays that same style of basketball. But you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. I think it's the right idea, the right move, the better plan to keep Isaiah Hartenstein in that starting unit right now. He can rebound the basketball. He gives you hustle plays. He can make passes. He can hit the little floater. Right? That's the right move. He understands the game a little bit better than Jericho Sims because he has more experience in the league, more experience playing basketball, in my opinion. He's played in the league for a while, so he's comfortable starting. Jericho Sims is still learning that stuff. So that's the right move. Right? That's the right move. Pudge Nice said, good reps for Jericho Sims. It is great reps for Jericho Sims. Right? Great reps for Jericho Sims. He's getting playing time, and he can get that playing time and get those reps. I see Pudge Nice got the Mark Berman icon up there. That's funny. But great reps for Jericho Sims. And he can get those reps whether he's starting or coming off the bench. Kerry Cox said that's where I thought Obi and IQ would fit in. I think talking about the 12th, the player that, that fourth option guy. And that's why I thought that at least IQ would fit in, that fourth option that can actually create for himself. You know what I mean? Obi's always going to be the guy that needs someone to create for him. Always. Pudge and I said Hart and Jericho foul a lot. With Isaiah Hartenstein, part of it is he doesn't have the same type of athletic ability that Sims or Mitch have. So he's got to use his feet. He's got to bump with his body. He's got a big body. That's his style of play. Jericho Sims, some of it is just being a young guy out there. You know what I mean? The Public Enemy said, Hartenstein is good at committing fouls, bad defender, bad rebounder. I'm not going to say he's a bad rebounder. I think he's a good rebounder. He's not an awful defender, in my opinion. I don't think he's an awful defender. It's just he doesn't have the same speed. Doesn't have the same speed. Stanley Mann said we need to see more of Obi at the 4 and Randall at the 5. They did it a bit in the first half tonight. I don't think Tom Thibodeau liked what he saw, and I don't even know if it was because of the small lineup. I think at the point in time that those two guys came in, the Pistons had gotten on a roll. Right? They got on a roll, and sometimes once a team gets on a roll, it doesn't matter who you bring in the game, they remain on that roll for a little while. You know what I mean? Some things that I saw from the Knicks tonight. Let's get to that now. I'll look at a few more comments in a minute. Also, the phone lines are open, 516-362-5212. You can give me a call. I talked about, obviously, the Knicks took care of the basketball. I think on the offensive end, they did do a better job sharing and moving the basketball. Although it didn't result in 24, 25 assists, 23 assists, again, for the Knicks tonight. I think that's partly due to the three-point shot. But I did think they did a better job moving the basketball. There were some times when, their ball movement led to players being open. Also, man movement led to players being open. You've seen a couple of times Jalen Brunson find Julius Randle cutting to the basket off of a Jalen Brunson penetration. Right? That's the type of play that you want. And I always say when Julius Randle is on the move to the basket, it's going to be very tough to stop him. He's either going to score the basketball or get fouled and go to the line. So you want to have Julius Randle moving. I thought I saw some good moves from RJ tonight. In recent days, people have been complaining, including myself, about RJ and just like the athletic ability. And when he gets in the lane, sometimes it's hard for him to score. He gets a shot blocked and this and that. And I think we're going to have to get used to it. And I think RJ is going to have to utilize more of his footwork, utilize pump fakes, things like that to get himself free so he doesn't get his shot blocked. But tonight, he was more efficient from the floor. Right? And he was making a little left-hand layup in the lane. 7 for 12 from the field for RJ. 3 for 7 from the three-point line. Part of that comes from the ball moving a little bit more. And when the ball moves, it shifts the defense. When the ball moves and the man moves, it shifts the defense. And when the defense shifts, it opens up more lanes for guys to penetrate. And so now when you go to the basket, you have less guys swiping at the ball, so on and so forth. I thought the Knicks had some good communication. I think they always kind of have good communication. Communication is normally there. I did question the communication on that pick and roll, those pick and roll scenarios, but I think tonight, I don't know if the Pistons aren't as high of a basketball IQ teams like the Celtics and even the Minnesota Timberwolves. Those type of in-depth schemes, you're not going to see that from the Pistons. So a team can look much better defensively against the Pistons because, they just don't have that basketball IQ at this point in time. But the Knicks played better defensively and with better energy. So they pull out the win versus the Pistons. I still don't like the fact that, the game got as close as 6 or 4 even in that fourth quarter. Right? The Knicks have had trouble all season long maintaining leads. Now, part of it has to do with the swings in the NBA. I think if you watch games from around the league, there's a lot of teams that have trouble maintaining leads because there always seems to be wild swings. A team can go up. A 20-point lead is not the same as it used to be 15 years ago. 15 years ago, you have a 20-point lead, you might as well, the game is won. Today, a 20-point lead is more like having a 10-point lead because teams are playing faster and teams can knock down the three, et cetera, et cetera. And there's so many more threes being taken, right? So those 20-point leads are not the same. Now, if you're a bad offensive team and you get down by 20, it's going to be tough for you to get back into the game. You're in the NBA. Anyone can get hot in the NBA, but if you're a bad offensive team and you're down by 20, you're probably in trouble because teams are very good offensively. So there are wild swings in the NBA, but the Knicks have, the blueprint is there. Teams know. Don't stop playing against the Knicks. You can get back into the game. Either they're going to slow up the intensity and not play as hard, or they're going to go on a scoring drought, or they may even have a barrage of turnovers. We've seen that from the Knicks so far this season too. Have 3 or 4 possessions where they turn the ball over. And if they're turning the ball over on 3 or 4 possessions in a row, when the team converts on 2 or 3 of them, that's a 6-point game. That's a 6-point swing. So it's out there, yeah. Keep playing against the Knicks because they will let you back into the basketball game. Don't stop playing. And the Detroit Pistons, wanting to get this win versus the Knicks, unhappy with the way that they were smacked around the first game, continued to play, continued to fight, continued to battle, no matter what it was, play hard. Dwayne Casey did a good job when the Pistons were making, bad blunders, young kid blunders, call a timeout, get them back under control, get them out there. You see AB was out there for a good portion of time on the floor. He played a lot of minutes because he's a guy that can help them young players get under control. But the Knicks have got to figure out how to hold those leads. Teams are going to shave off some points. It's going to happen. But when you amass a 17-point lead, you don't want to let it get down to 4. Right? You let it get down to 4. Now you're talking about that team being in striking distance. And a team like the Pistons don't know no better. They get within striking distance, you could be in trouble. But Jalen Brunson played tough tonight. I don't think Jalen Brunson wasn't going to let it happen tonight, because I think he did play tough, and he had the ball in his hands a little bit more, especially down the stretch. Listen, someone called up earlier today and said Jalen Brunson was a cone on defense. Somebody else called him a pothole, He gives you a little bit of a bump, but you can get past him. I thought he was tough on defense tonight. I did. I thought he was tough on defense. He's not going to be a perfect defender because he's small. He doesn't have a whole lot of speed. What he gets offensively is off of craftiness. There's not a such thing as craftiness on the defensive side. Maybe there is, if you talk about, tussling and holding and pulling and stuff like that. Those are some crafty old school moves. When you're talking, when a person who's a little bit slower is going to play defense, they've got to utilize angles, which is a little bit tougher to do. I'm not going to say he's just a cone out there, but clearly he's not your top defensive point guard in the league. And throughout the season, there's going to be a lot of helping. And the Knicks are going to have to figure out how do they play team defense, enough team defense, have that defense on the string to make up for any defensive limitations of Jalen Brunson or anybody else that's in that lineup. But Jalen Brunson played tough. And you see tonight, as well as other games, what you brought Jalen Brunson here for. Third game in 4 nights, I believe, that R.J. Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle have scored over 20. And this may be the 4th game in a row that Julius Randle has scored over 20. And every single night, in order for the Knicks to have a chance to win, those three guys must score over 20 points. 20 points or more. You know what I mean? There's just no two ways about it unless somebody else gets hot. And so far, the Knicks haven't had many people get hot. Besides, Cam got hot one night. I think Julius Randle, he got hot. I mean, I'm sorry. Obi Toppin got hot. You know what I mean? A couple of times. And when I say hot for Obi Toppin, you're talking about 17 points. You know what I mean? So, ladies and gentlemen, Cornerstone Kev decided to come in and face the music. So let me bring him in here. It looks like he might be broadcasting from the bathroom. So forgive him. Forgive him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, forgive him. Let's get him in here. Cornerstone, my man, my mellow, my man. What's going on with you, brother? Yeah, go ahead and get that thing unmuted. Just make sure you took care of business before you unmute that. All right. I don't think he can find the unmute button, ladies and gentlemen. We'll give him a second. We'll give him a second to find the unmute button. And then we'll get the Cornerstone Kev. Up next on the plate is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that's not going to be a walk in the park for the Knicks. I can tell you that.
Hello, guys.
What's going on, man? You broadcasting from the bathroom?
I'm at my niece's house, I'm not in the bathroom. I'm in the living room.
Okay, I was just saying, it looked like a shower curtain behind you. That's all.
It's not a shower curtain. It's a sofa and some curtains, regular curtains.
I'm just saying. So what's going on, man? I mean, the Knicks got the win tonight. You told me they was going to lose.
One game.
They only played one game tonight. I mean, how many games you expecting to play tonight? The Brooklyn Nets was just one game.
They came out focused is what I want to see. And like you said earlier, they're going to be inconsistent. I want to see consistency. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you can't go on the road and beat a what's the word for it? Beat a Minnesota Timberwolves team that has two of their stars, and then come home and play your crosstown rivals that's missing one of their key guys. Even though they have, KD, but just come out, lackadaisical.
Happens like that.
That's the problem.
Happens like that.
But it's not supposed. If you're supposed, but
see, listen. That's part of the rigor of the regular season, right? That's part of the rigor, right? You travel to Minnesota, and then you got to come right back to New York and play, right? Well, I don't know where the Brooklyn Nets were before that, but that's part of the reason. The playoffs are a series, right? Because in the NBA, and I'm going to put this on mute while I'm talking because there's stuff going on in the background. In the NBA, there is all kinds of stuff happens. You're on the road. You know what I mean? You're playing a back-to-back. All of that stuff. And it leads, you're talking about going from one time zone to another time zone, right? Even if it's just an hour difference, you're still talking about going from one time zone to another. Those things lead into, those things play a role in your basketball game. And that's the reason why playoff series are, longer. They have playoff series.
Right. And I agree with everything that you just said. Here's my, if you want to call it retort or something, hasn't there ever been a time that we've known each other? How long have we known each other? Almost 4 years now?
Yeah, something like that. 4 years? Something like that. Unfortunately.
Okay. Has there ever been a time where you're like, with this team, you asking, what in the world are we doing?
Of
You know what I'm
course.
saying?
Of course. Of course. Of
Okay,
course.
that's
And hold on for
okay.
1 second. Because this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. Sim coming up with every excuse for the Knicks' performance in Brooklyn. That's what I don't like. Right? Because if you listened to what I've said you got to come out. You got to figure out a way to come out with the energy. But the true thing is that this is what happens in the NBA. It is the rigors of the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Listen, let me tell you, the past 2 weeks, I've been traveling all over the place. 2 hours one way to go to a conference, 2 hours back to go to practice, then 2 hours back to the conference, then 2 hours home for practice, right? And one of those nights, I was so exhausted, as soon as I hit my room, I was gone. And which is the reason why I wasn't doing shows that week. You know what I'm saying? If I were to play a basketball game, and I don't care how good a condition I was in, it was exhausting. You understand? I would have been low energy. I'm not making an excuse because this is their job, and it was my job to make sure that I got done what I needed to get done. But it's the rigors of the NBA, and it's the reason why when you get to the playoffs, you have one day in between games. You get a little bit more time for travel. You understand? And that way, the true things can come out. It's not an excuse. So don't come to me with that trash, Uncle Fulio. It's not an excuse. I'm telling you what happens in the NBA. Let me get to a phone call.
I thought you were talking about me. I was like, oh, I didn't say anything.
You too.
Huh?
You too.
I'm not saying it's an excuse.
I'm
Not at all.
not
I was just
saying
trying to get
anything
your
is an
thought.
excuse. I'm just telling you what's
No.
real and what happens in the NBA and what could lead to a performance like that. That's all.
Like that. Okay. All
Let me
right.
get to
I
this
got to
caller.
get off. We're about
All
to
right.
leave. So, but I had to get on because I was like, I had to show
You
love to my brother and everything.
had to make sure you came on and showed your face, even though the Knicks won and you said that they were gonna lose.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I take it.
All
I
right,
take
brother.
it.
Talk
Let me get to this phone
Okay.
call. Caller,
Okay.
you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Sim, how you doing? This is George from the Bronx.
What's going on, George? How you feeling, man? I appreciate you.
I'm good. Listen, man, I didn't get a chance to see the game tonight,
Mm-hmm.
but listening to some of the things that you're saying, there's a few things about the Knicks we have to need to be understood. First of all, is we don't have an all-star player.
Right.
Okay, an all-star player is a player that when those droughts come about, he's the one who we go to get those baskets and he get them. We don't have that player.
Don't have them.
Okay. We score by committee, and if the committee's not scoring, we get nothing. Okay.
Right.
Second, I feel that the reason why Derrick Rose is only playing these short minutes because one, like you said, he was injury prone. Two, he's 34 years old, and if we're gonna, use him extensively, I think it's going to start coming around the All-Star break or after the All-Star break. That's when we'll push him to get more minutes. Because if we do it now, this is only game 11. By game 20, 25, he can be hurt, and then he's lost for the rest of the season.
Right, exactly. And he's out of there.
So basically what's happening is we're just basically building our core because we still need a couple more players, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We wanted Cam to play. He's playing, but he still has a lot of growing to do. Okay. When Grimes come back, we're gonna see what he got. Possibly he can be that fourth scorer that can give us 12 to 15 a night.
You think he can?
You see? So we're still in that position to we're still growing.
Right.
They putting up fights, they looking good, but we're short. And that has to be realized. Certain teams we can be in it with them, but we can't finish because we don't have that finisher. We don't have that person who can constantly, night in, night out, get us what we need. We don't have a Jokic or a Doncic or a Durant. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have that caliber player.
Right.
And that's what we're striving towards. So
right.
I'm happy in the direction that they're going.
Yeah. Do you think that Grimes can give you that 12 to 14 points a night?
I'm hoping that he can, because he looked good in the summer league. He was averaging like 25, 20 something per game in the summer league.
Something like that.
If he can half that up for us, yeah, we can depend on 12, 14 a night out of him. Because 12, 14 a night would take us over the hump right now.
It would help. It would help tremendously. If someone could give tremendously 12 to 14 points a night, consistently.
Right. We need everybody playing at their peak, which is something they're going to develop during the season because they have to.
Right.
All we got is each other. We don't have a superstar. We don't even have an all-star. Who you think is going to get picked for the all-star game this year? Who you think?
For the Knicks?
Yeah. You see?
I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to get picked for the Knicks.
That's what I'm saying. So we're playing by committee. And the committee have to be strong. We got to just keep fighting. Right now, I like where they at. 6-5? Yeah. They could have easily been 8-3.
They're 6-6. 6-6 right now.
Oh, 6-6. Okay, 6-6.
6-6.
So they could have been easily, you know what I'm saying? What's it? 8-4.
They could have. They could have. They could have been somewhere around there. If you,
they could have been somewhere around there. We just had late game collapses because we don't have that star to go to on a constant basis.
Right. Yeah. No doubt about that.
And that's what we're striving for in the off season and in the future. But I just want these guys to keep fighting, become solid.
Yeah. Okay.
Become solid.
Yeah, no doubt.
When a team come out here, who the team is, when they come to New York or they playing the Knicks, they gonna know they in a dog fight.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, my man, I appreciate your time. You said George, right?
Yes.
Appreciate you, George. Thank you for the call.
All right. I appreciate you too, bro.
Right,
talk to you again soon.
Yep.
All right.
Uncle Fulio said, first of all, he said he's trolling. Calm down. I'm always calm. And then Greg said that I'm employed by the Knicks. If I was employed by the Knicks, you would have known about it by now, Greg. But Uncle Fulio also said that Obi can give you that 12 to 15 points. He just doesn't play enough minutes. I mean, he can give you 12 to 15 points. He can, I think there's a difference in the way that maybe IQ or Rose gives you those points than Obi. And I think sometimes that difference does mean something. We don't have another person. First of all, RJ, Randall, Jalen, they can create their own shot, but they have a hard time creating that shot a lot of times. And when everything is stalling, see, Obi's going to rely on ball movement and man movement. And sometimes that stalls out. You fight to try to keep it moving, but sometimes it stalls out. And I just don't see Obi being the guy when it stalls out that's going to give you those kind of points. I feel like, you got to have a guy that can give you those kind of points. So when I'm saying someone's stepping up, that's why I'm looking at like IQ and Derrick Rose. Obviously, Derrick Rose can give you that, but he's not going to get the minutes. That's why I'm looking at those guys, because they can give you those kind of points where I need to put the ball on the floor right now. Obi's not doing that consistently. I don't care how prolific you think that he is, Uncle Fulio. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
What's going on, bro? This Ali. I called in earlier.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I'm good. What's going on, Ali? How you feeling, man?
No, I'm good, Brody. I'm good. I had to call because I can't say my boy was a cone and then not call back. You know what I mean? Because my boy played like.
Yeah, that's right. You called him a cone.
Can't kick it like that. You know what I mean? But even when I said that, like, it wasn't about my boy, like I said, his effort or skill or anything on the defensive end or technique or nothing. It's just size. You know what I'm saying? And with his size, if he was 6'8", he'll be tremendous on the defensive end. I'm sure of it. But he is what he is. You know what I mean? But he definitely stepped it up today. Like I said, he gonna give you the best he can give you. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, maybe a cone is disrespectful. So I'm gonna retract that. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's not cool. But we played good tonight. You know what I mean? But I think us as Knicks fans, I think something we got to be comfortable with. And I wasn't really watching us in the 90s, but I saw something earlier that said we didn't miss the playoffs for like 10 straight years or 13 straight years with Patrick Ewing.
Right.
Like
yeah. I think we
and I think that set an expectation for like Knicks fans to go forward. And I think right now we got to accept being a development team. You know what I'm saying? A lot of action at the two guard, who won't start, who won't finish the game. A lot of action at the center. We trying stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is what a development team might look like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to beat nobody that's better than us. That's just kind of, we're not going to beat most teams that's better than us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we're going to give a good fight to every team that's like on the same, like, who we look comparable to. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get teams in the game because we develop them. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to do stuff. I just think that's where we at. Good win, good development win. You know what I'm saying? Like, got to see our young guys, like, and we pulled it out in the end. You know what I'm saying? So I like the win personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always glad to get a win. I still think that we were a little shaky on the defensive side. We played better offensively as far as moving the basketball, getting other people involved. We didn't really knock down the three ball the way that you would like to knock down the three ball, which goes back to, the Knicks, had some of those games where they were shooting the ball, where they were shooting the three like 40 to 50 times a game. And I don't think the Knicks can win that way because I don't think we have good enough shooters. I don't think we have pure enough shooters. Pure shooters. We don't have pure shooters that's going to be able to shoot at that clip all the time. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's going to be the strategy for the Knicks, or should be the strategy. If you're hitting them, you take them. If not, then you got to figure out something else. So tonight they took 26. They were 7 for 26.
With 50.
Say that again.
Right. Because to me, with 53 pointers, right, you got to create 50 good looks. And if we don't have a coach for that. We don't got the players that can create their own shot for that. So how many of those 53 pointers is just bad shots? Might as well be turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we not really built for that. And I honestly think what do you think about putting Obi on the court with Randall and the center? I know the first thing we're going to talk about is the defensive side of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I respect that. But I feel like Obi is another player. The effort is there. It's the skill is a little bit lacking. But if we apply technique or apply maybe like a different scheme or something, I think we could help Obi on that side of the ball. Because everything about to me, Obi, he's the best cherry picker in the league. You know what I'm saying? And he's shooting corner threes. Like, offensively, that sounds like a small forward to me.
Right.
And if we lack in shooting, and the problem is we can't put the shooting on the court with Obi, with Randall, because then we just become small, why not go big? Like,
see,
I think that.
Earlier, before the season even started, I was a proponent of letting the two have some minutes together on the floor. Randall defending the 3, Obi defending the 4, and then having, a big guy out there. Now with Hartenstein on the floor,
that sounds nice.
Offensively, it seems like you can do it, and it could work offensively. What I'm concerned about is not the one-on-one defense with those guys. I'm concerned about the rotations. Randall doesn't do a good job getting out to those 3-pointers. 50% of the time, he's not doing a good job. Obi struggles with it sometimes too. You know what I mean? That's where I would really be. I'd be concerned about that portion of it now. You know, say earlier in the season, I was like, okay, I'd like to give it a try and see. But after watching the team play and the trouble that we have covering up, you know, when another team moves the ball, pop, and then covering the 3-point shot or the pick and roll scenarios and covering that 3-point shot, I'm afraid we would have a lot of trouble. That's what I would. That's what I get scared of.
My question is this to you: like, what you watching? How much of it do you feel is scheme? Because what I watch, I see we switch on everything. Like,
we do.
Even more than just pick and roll. Like, your man ran behind my man, so that's my man now.
Yeah, that
you know
happens.
What I'm saying?
That
like,
happens
I see a
the
lot of that
entire
kind
game.
of defense.
The entire game, they're switching. The entire game, they're switching.
Everything.
Yep, they switch on just about everything.
So why? I think so. How much of that is scheme, and how much of that is player ability? Like, I don't think you should do that. I think you should start hugging towards, like, hug your man. Like, I get. I think maybe it's because we're trying to really, really help JB. And I mean, I guess maybe that's the cause of it.
You know, I think they're trying to help each other. You know, JB is definitely one of those guys. You know, and it's about, I think it's because besides Jalen Brunson, you know, from 3 to 4, and even sometimes when you have Randall and Obi on the floor, from 2 to 5, when you have Randall and Obi on the floor, they're all 6'8", 6'6" to 6'8".
Right.
So, you know, so it's easy for them to just switch. And that's, when you switch that way, it's almost like playing a zone defense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It creates its own kind of like zone. We did do that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Right. Creates a little bit of a zone because now you don't have to go all the way across the floor. If somebody's trying to cut through and curl around, you don't have to chase that person. You just leave them off to the next person, you know, to your buddy. Right. The problem with it is when you get confused. That, you know, you get confused about who's making the switch. You know what I mean? Or the communication breaks down. Now all of a sudden somebody's wide open because you didn't make the right switch. And that becomes the problem with it. You know what I mean? So it is tough when you don't have it. But this is the thing. And I agree with Uncle Fulio here. He said, you know, the defensive scheme he believes is outdated. You know, I think part of the scheme is outdated, you know, that the sagging in the paint part. Right, playing the paint so heavy, I think that is outdated. You know, and the Knicks need to fix that a little bit. But the switching part, you know, I think that is a current scheme. But you've got to have guys that know how to communicate, know when to switch, a good defensive basketball IQ. You know what I'm saying? But when coaches do like that switching, sometimes it's to cover up the defensive liabilities of players. You know what I'm saying? Because if you have 5 defensive monsters on the floor, you don't really have to switch that much. You know what I'm saying? You might have to get help a little bit because in the NBA, guys are quick, they're fast, they're strong. They can still get past you, but you got someone, boom, I helped you out. You recovered. Now I'm getting back to my guy. You know what I'm saying? You know, but when you have some defensive liabilities, then you rely on switching, you know, to make up for those kind of defensive liabilities. So it's if they get it, it can be strong. I think it will. I think what's the dude in Minnesota? Ant-Man in Minnesota said, you know what? They don't come at you one-on-one defensively. They don't have all these strong one-on-one defenders, but as a team, they're really, really tough. We haven't seen it as a team yet this year, but let's hope that it rounds into shape. You know?
And I mean, and I think that's why our defense by the end of the year usually gets better because it's a scheme, a lot of communication, a lot of used to it. So you defensively by the end of the year, regardless of how we start, we usually end in the top 10. So it could get better, you know what I'm saying? My concerns really be on the offensive end. A lot of the time, just like I said, hard to get a bucket. Yeah, I mean, but I know you got other callers on, bro. Sir. I didn't want to come back and say my boy wasn't a cone tonight.
Yeah, Ali, I appreciate it, Ali.
All right, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all night, man.
You too,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, my man called JB a cone earlier today. I mean, if you have played basketball, you understand, you put a cone on the floor and you might come up to it and do a dribble move, pop, pop, and go past. Guess what? That cone don't move. So when you call a defensive player a cone, that's pretty bad. If they're a cone, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. The Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, they take on the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday. It's an early game. The game starts at 12 p.m. All right, so, get up early. I'll probably do a game preview. I don't know. I'm not trying to do it super duper early. I'll probably do it just before the game on Sunday since the game is so early. So you can expect maybe I'll jump on about 11 o'clock and we'll do the game preview right up until the game starts, and then we'll do a post-game show right after the game and knock it out today. All right, so an early game for the New York Knicks. The Westchester Knicks, they'll be doing an event on Sunday. They're taking some kids, through, they're doing something with the Garden of Dreams and with Marvel. They're taking a group of kids to Black Panther movie, you know what I mean? So, big shout out to the Westchester Knicks for that. And stay tuned, maybe tomorrow or Sunday, I'm going to break open a show that talks specifically about the Westchester Knicks, and taking a look at the players. And I'll be doing that show once a week, taking a look at the players that could be coming up or could possibly be a New York Knick one day. You know what I mean? Then, of course, if Miles McBride or Jericho Sims end up going to Westchester, we'll cover that as well and look forward to some things in the future with NBK and the Westchester Knicks. We'll be there. The Westchester Knicks are playing in Bridgeport this year. You know what I mean? So we'll be doing some things with the Westchester Knicks. We're actually working out doing, I don't know how many people are interested in going to a Westchester Knicks game, but I'll have some free tickets to give away pretty soon. We'll also be doing some events where we get a group to go to the Westchester Knicks, and we'll do some podcasting and some things right from the arena. That's what we're working on. Let's just say that. We've been speaking with the Westchester Knicks about doing some things like that. All right, and, so we're working on that. We'll see if it comes into fruition, but, it looks good, like it could come into fruition. So, just be on the lookout for that, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? Should be pretty dope once we get it on the move. And, an announcement could be coming very soon about an event that we're doing in Bridgeport. So just be on the lookout for that. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Sam, it's Spree. What's going on?
What's good with you, Spree? How you feeling?
I'm happy for the win. Shouldn't have been that close, but it doesn't matter. Win's a win, and it's hard to win in this league. I'm not going to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think Derrick Rose's role will increase?
I don't know. Maybe as we get closer to the playoffs, it will, if he's healthy, as long as he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think it will. I think it will. I think it'll increase. You know what I mean? And listen, I think one thing is this. So there's a couple of things at play. Obviously, we know about his health injuries, but I also think Tom Thibodeau wants to see what some of these, he knows what Derrick Rose can do, wants to see what some of these other guys can do as well. Before he uses up what Derrick Rose has for the season. So I think he's probably, let me see what these guys can do. Let me figure out Cam a little bit. Let me figure out Quentin Grimes. What are we doing? What's happening? What are we doing with Fournier? Let's see what IQ is bringing to us this year. And it's 12 games. So I think Tibbs probably looks at 20 games and says, that's a good sample size for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now he might decide, okay, we got to get Rose out there because I know what he can do and we need it. You know what I mean? The problem is, you know, the Knicks have played, they're 6-6 over 12 games. You know, 8 more games. The next 8 games, a little bit are tough.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rose was the first guy off the bench tonight. I think. I have to go back and check, but I mean, my whole thing though is with Quickly. When we were really good, it was Rose and Quickly in that second unit, where Quickly was off the ball, and I think this is just my opinion, and maybe I'm putting too much in these. It's a long season. I think Quickly's better off the ball, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you saw him make a 3 in the corner. He finally made a shot. He made another 3 off the ball. Like, when Quickly has to have the ball in his hands and like create, and he does this thing where he will like take 5 steps backwards when he catches the ball, and like it's an and one mixtape. Instead of like, if people can just set Quickly up, even if RJ can set Quickly up, I just think Quickly is so much better off the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is better off the ball. You know, the problem is, you know, his game for however many years has been handling the ball, right? Putting the ball on the floor, not really playing off the ball, truly playing off the ball. So it's hard to break that habit for him, I think. I mean, he's done it. He's done it. He's done it. You know, there's been times when he's off the ball and he catches it and shoots it. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I think he is better off the ball. Will they play him off the ball? I guess we'll see. You know, it's going to depend on how this roster really shakes out right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a long season. I agree with you that we got to keep Rose healthy, and Rose hasn't looked like, to be fair to Rose, but it's hard to get a rhythm. We know what Rose is. Rose will get better. He'll get it more minutes. I'm hard on Quickly, but I get frustrated when he pounds it and he gets swaddled up because he's not that big a guy and he can't really finish. He floats it. So we'll see. Hopefully if Quickly's making threes, that's the most important thing he can give me. He's making threes and he's playing defense. One last thing on RJ.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was against the Pistons, but do you think this will get him back in the groove and going again?
I hope so. You know,
where are you at on RJ?
You know, I mean, I think, like I said earlier, you know, people get upset that he gets his shot blocked. I think I've learned. I know now. He's not going to be the guy to use a lot of athleticism. So, you know, I'm just encouraging and throwing it out there. And if he ever does listen to the show, maybe he hears it. Work on the footwork, work on your craftiness, use pump fakes, you know, so when he gets inside, he can score the basketball. You know what I mean? But where am I at on him right now? I mean, I still feel good about RJ.
What's your take on RJ as a player right now? Like, you've seen his whole career in New York.
Right.
It's another kind of slow start. Like, what do you believe RJ is in the league, and like, where are you at on him?
I mean, I think he's still coming, you know, still developing into what he's going to be in the league. But in the long run, I think he's going to be a guy that makes a couple of all-star teams. That's what I think. Right? As long as the Knicks can develop into a good basketball team, I think he'll be a guy that can make a couple of all-star teams. I don't think he's going to be a perennial all-star. I don't think he's going to be I don't see the natural smoothness or footwork or, you know, the ease in which those number one guys score the ball. I don't see that with RJ. You know what I mean? So I think he's going to end up being like a Chris Middleton guy in the league. You know, that's kind of where I see him.
Do you think he's athletic enough
to be like a Chris Middleton guy?
Yeah.
And when I say Chris Middleton, I don't mean playing exactly like Chris Middleton, but career-wise, I think he'll be like that kind of a guy. You know what I mean? I don't think Chris Middleton is super athletic, but that's where I see RJ. He's going to need a number one guy with him.
What's the three things that you think RJ needs to do to be as good as he can be? What's the three things for you?
The three things for me is to continue to develop that footwork. That, to me, that's the biggest thing for me. Because if you're going to be crafty, when you look at Jalen Brunson, one of the reasons that he's able to get in the lane and get his shot off and score is because of footwork. He doesn't have the height. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't jump very high, right? It's the footwork. He's able to use that footwork to get himself free, and that leads to the craftiness of his play. You know what I mean? So I think that RJ needs to continue to develop his footwork because his game is going to come, to me, his game is going to come through posting up eventually, and he's going to need the footwork, obviously knocking down the three ball, and then playing in the mid-range. You know what I mean? When he does get to the basket, he can't continue to rely on just going straight to the left and flipping it up with the left hand. You're going to need some other moves down there because pretty soon, you know what I mean? Right now you might be scoring it every once in a while, but pretty soon guys are going to know exactly what you're doing, and it's not going to work anymore. So I think he's got to develop that footwork. He's got to work on just, the craftiness of his game. Being a little bit like if you look at Brunson, like he gets in the lane and you got a little bit of a hesitation, then he goes forward, then maybe he steps back, then throws a pump fake, and then steps under you and lays it up. All of those things are real crafty and it keeps a defender on his toes, not knowing which way you're going to go. You know what I mean? I think RJ's got to work on that type of game.
I agree with you, Sam. You make very good points about the craftiness because he's not the most athletic guy, but like you said, there's a lot of guys in the league that are very good players that aren't that athletic. So I'm with you, man. I'm staying patient with him. My whole thing, though, that I'm worried about is like there's certain guys that start off slow and then they heat up, and I can deal with it. But like also RJ has a tendency, and I've noticed this. Sometimes he'll have a really bad first half where he'll not tonight, but like there are times. But then it's a different guy I see in the second half. I wish I can get just more consistency from him because this, Sim, for the New York Knicks to be a great team, RJ Barrett has to be as good as he can possibly be. And I don't know, maybe I asked too much, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
That's all I got.
We'll see. All right, Spree, I appreciate your time, man.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to talk about with this team, but they got the win. That's my main concern for tonight. They couldn't lose this game tonight. They had to get the win, and they got the win. Right? So now let's see, can we build off of the win, get a win in OKC. I think it's in OKC, if I'm correct. I'll check and make sure. Then get a win versus the Utah Jazz. Right? Because the Knicks embark on a 5-game road trip that starts with the Utah Jazz. We'll talk about that road trip in just a second. Let me get you another phone call here. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
What's going on? This is Sosa. What's going on? What's going on, Sam?
Sosa, what's going on, brother? How you feeling, man?
Just got a few questions for you.
All right.
Let me know what you think. How long you been a Knicks fan?
Man, I've been a Knicks fan since like 86 when the Knicks, like 86. That's when I really started paying attention to sports, right? So around that time, the Mets were doing their thing, the Giants was doing their thing, and the Knicks got Patrick Ewing.
Yankees sucked.
Yankees
sucked.
Right. The Yankees were bad they were bad. The Mets had Darryl Strawberry and all those dudes and Mattingly and all, yeah.
All right, cool. When was the last time the Knicks had a first overall pick?
Patrick Ewing, right? Yeah, 86. 85. Yeah. Yep.
Ewing, okay. And the caller just called a few moments ago, said that in the 90s, Knicks made the playoffs damn near every year. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Starting in like 86, 87, they made like 14 straight playoff appearances. Something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Now we traded Ewing to the Sonics. We got Glenn Rice, whatever. Ever since the 2000s, the Knicks have been a middle of the pack team. Correct?
Yep. Middle
where
of
has
the
that
pack
gotten
or
us?
worse. Middle of the pack or worse.
Okay, all right, but let me prove my point. Middle of the pack or worse. In the 2000s, what was the highest pick we had? In the whole 2000, in the whole 20 years, what was the highest pick we had?
3, right? RJ.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. And where has that got? Where has that gotten us? Nowhere. That's what I'm saying. I see the same thing happening again. We are middle of the pack team. That's not getting us nowhere. Now I can understand if we are middle of the pack team, and then we're developing our players. I can understand that. Like for example, look at Utah. Utah's the first seed. I don't think they're gonna stay that way, but they're developing their players. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand if he was a middle of the pack team, 500, and always getting 20, 25. I mean, always getting 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Quickly's getting better. Mitch Rob is getting better, but none of that is happening. Mitch Robinson's best year is arguably his first year when he was second in blocks and he was first in field goal percentages when he broke Will Chamberlain's record. Obi has been averaging 15 minutes since his rookie year. IQ's best year was his first year. He was better from three-point land. He was better with his floater. He was better from the foul line. He was better his rookie year. So we can't develop our players. That's number one. We are bad developing our players. Number two, we suck in our draft. And I don't know about scouts. I don't know if they're falling asleep. I don't know if they're lazy. I don't know because we cannot draft. Look, you said RJ was our highest pick, third.
Mm-hmm.
How many players we missed?
So I'll say this though, and this is kind of in RJ's defense, right?
Yeah.
He was drafted. This is RJ's fourth season, right? This is his fourth season.
Yeah.
Last year was his third season. So in his first season, the Knicks didn't make the playoffs. In his second season, they made the playoffs, right?
And he had a great season.
Right, they made the playoffs. He missed the playoffs. Last year, obviously, the Knicks missed the playoffs. We'll see what happens this year, right? But, if you look at Ewing, in his first season in the league, he didn't make the playoffs. Didn't make the playoffs in the second season. He made it in his third season, right? The Knicks made the playoffs in the third season, right? So in his first 3 seasons.
In the 80s, though.
In the 80s, right? But in the first 3 seasons, he made the playoffs one time.
Who else we pick in the draft? After Ewing, who else do we pick in the draft? Mark Jackson.
Right. But what I'm saying though, right? We're talking about, in his first 3 seasons, he made the playoffs one time. So far, RJ in his first 3 seasons, the Knicks have made the playoffs one time. Let's see what happens. Now, Patrick Ewing also made the playoffs in his also made the All-Star team in his rookie year. You're talking about an all-time great, of course. But, let's see what happens to where they go.
All right.
See what happens.
What year was RJ? What season was RJ drafted? 2018, right?
2000.
19, right?
I think it was 2018.
19.
Let me see.
2019. Was it?
He came in the league.
No, what bad?
1920. 1920 was his rookie year.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, so check it out. In that draft class, how many players right now are better than RJ from that same draft class? A whole bunch. Garland. It's debatable. With Tyler Hero, it's debatable. Of course, Ja Morant. We're not even going to talk about Ja.
Well, Ja Morant was drafted before him, though. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna talk about the players who was drafted after RJ that still ended up being better than RJ. So my point is Knicks. We can't develop. We don't draft correctly. We don't draft, or we can't. Either we don't draft correctly, or we don't develop. Look at when we picked Obi. Why did they pick Obi instead of Halliburton? Or instead of Maxey.
Well, I get it. You know what I'm saying? That, you're going to have some mishaps. I think we got to see what happens, man. Let's see if they, let's put it like this. If they make the playoffs this year, 2 out of his 4 seasons with the Knicks would have been playoffs. Right?
Okay.
And then I think you can look at it and say, I think this year, because I spoke with someone and we were talking about trends, right? A quick conversation. And I told him, I said, well, I don't think we can know where the Knicks are trending until the end of this season. Then we'll know where they're trending. Because you had the first year that RJ was here, they were bad. Second year, the Knicks made the playoffs, right? Last year, they were 37-45. There were injuries, this, that, and the third, whatever. They were 37-45. They missed the playoffs. Now this year, if they make the playoffs again, you can say, all right, maybe this team is trending up. 2 of the last 3 seasons, they made the playoffs. If they miss the playoffs again, then you say, man, the team is trending, I guess, depending on what their record is
So
in the
let's say
middle.
we make the playoffs.
So let's see what happens.
Let's say we make the playoffs. We win the play-in tournament. We make the playoffs or whatnot, and then we lose in the first round. What good does that do?
I mean, I think to me, what good that does to me is say, okay, we made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 seasons, but we know we got to step up. And then now, we have, because other teams are looking and say, okay, this is a team that made the playoffs. They got some young guys. These guys must be worth something. They're good enough to help this team to make the playoffs, especially in the Eastern Conference. It's going to bring their value up. Now you can start to use the value of your young players to I don't want to say cash it in, but to trade for a bigger star. I don't want to say, I don't want to say cash it in like that, but, trade them for someone else, a bigger, better player to help elevate your basketball team. But I think that's how you got to grow too. I think that's another way that you grow. You're kind of building a foundation there, and then you're able to say, okay, we have these players. We can trade these players for a superior talent, and then have to add some more players around them. So, like this year is important to me.
What you're saying,
right? This year is important to me to see which way we're actually trending.
I get exactly what you're saying. I just think we should just play the young guys more minutes. Why is Obi still playing 15, 16 minutes a game? I feel like we should play our young guys more minutes. And if we make the playoffs then, that's a huge plus because now they're developing. And we have a lot of draft picks. But if we make the playoffs with Randall playing 38, 40 minutes, doing the same old, we have a bunch of draft picks. Yeah, that's weapons. We have to use that. And if we're going to make the playoffs with Randall playing high minutes again, I'd rather just tank. That's what I hate to tank. You know what I'm saying? I hate that word, but it's realistically because the worst place to be is in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I feel like your players don't get better. We talk about the development of the young guys. I feel like when you're tanking per se, you're I don't feel like you get better. I feel like you get better. Competition isn't only.
I feel you on that one.
To me, competition isn't only on the floor, but it's how you prepare. And if you're tanking per se, your preparation isn't the same.
The mindset also.
The mindset isn't the same.
You don't get used to losing. Yeah, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So I that's where I'm kind of like, I really don't like it especially when you look at how many young guys the Knicks have. I would much rather, if the front office don't like Randall, figure out, how do we move on from them? If they feel like it's time for Obi to get more playing time, figure that out. But I just feel like tanking, I just think you're going to do worse harm to the kids by tanking than, trying to fight for a playoff spot. I just feel, and I think you learn something about those guys too, because when you're in the heat of those moments, you're in a stretch where, you've got to win the next 2-3 games to stay in, in pace with this playoff spot or play-in spot. You see what these guys are made of. Do they wilt from the pressure or do they step up? But I get it. I feel where people are coming from. To me,
just look at our history. Yeah. Look at our history. I understand exactly what you're saying, but just look at our history. Like you said, the 2000s, we were basically a middle of the pack team, or probably a little worse. And that has gotten us nowhere.
I feel
in
you.
20 years,
I feel
they probably made the playoffs like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but I think the difference is back then we were a middle of the pack
Yeah,
team
we didn't have draft.
without
We
draft
didn't have
picks.
drafts.
Right? We didn't have draft
Yeah,
picks.
yeah.
We weren't collecting draft picks. We had untradeable contracts.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of a different situation. We're middle of the pack, but we have
We have
assets
untradeable
to.
contracts right now. Randall.
Yeah, but they're not bad contracts. They're not bad contracts. Randall will never make $30 million under this contract, bro. Huh?
Fournier's not a bad contract.
Okay, I mean, every
Fournier's
team
not
is
a
going to
bad
have
contract?
one. When Fournier was first signed, it wasn't a
Randall's
bad
not a bad
contract.
contract?
Now, Randall's not a bad contract. Randall will never make $30 million on his contract.
So why can't we trade him?
This is the first year of that contract. They're not trying to trade him. I mean, you got to be trying to trade a guy to figure out if people want him or not. They're not even trying to trade him.
I heard talks that if the Knicks were trying to trade Randall, they'll have to attach a pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's talks.
That's because nobody wants him. Nobody wants him
that's
for that
talks. That's talks from out there. I don't think they even look to try to trade Julius Randle. He just started. He won't even make.
How much does RJ make?
Well, RJ's making $11 million this year.
And next year, his new contract. He resign?
And then the contract kicks in next year. I'm not exactly sure what those numbers are.
Worth his contract? You think RJ, the way he's playing right now, is worth the contract?
I mean, he's averaging 20 points a game. He's averaging 20 points a game. He's giving you about 6 rebounds a game. You know what I mean? And he's going to make, what is he going to make? $22 or $23 million next year? Like in the NBA today? That's not crazy in the NBA.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll call you back. I'll call you back in a few months.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. I appreciate the call, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Have a good night.
All right, peace. Let's take a listen to Tom Thibodeau and see what he thinks about the game, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is Tom Thibodeau on tonight's game. Let me get this. All right, let's get it. Let's go. It's Tom Thibodeau.
The start of the game was good. The thing that was different about this game is we still didn't shoot the ball great, but I thought we made a lot of plays, unselfish plays, to help get high-quality shots. So I thought everyone was focused on helping the team first, and, we ended up scoring 120 points. And over the course of the game, teams are going to make runs, and obviously the free throw stuff, we have to be better with not fouling and adjust to the way the game was being officiated. So it was called tight, and I want to look at the fouls. Like, some of them were borderline, but some of them were whacking down, and we gotta fix that.
You got points from all over the place in the starting unit, but what do you think of RJ in particular tonight?
Great, downhill, attacking the basket, a lot of pressure on the rim. Yeah, and we've been terrific with scoring in the paint all year long, and a big part of it is the pressure that he puts on people. So I thought guys made unselfish plays. I thought Derek played with a lot of energy, got into the paint, made plays. I thought Jalen had timely buckets in the fourth quarter. Julius, big-time rebounds at the end, in traffic. So we had a lot of guys step up. I thought Isaiah played really well over the course of the game.
Tom, RJ, obviously he's improved every year, but it seems like the first 12 games this year, it's been a bit of a mixed bag for him. What have you seen from him so far this year?
Well, and for whatever reason, like, I know in my 3 years he started pretty much the same way. It's a steady climb for him. And I think if you looked at his numbers over the last 5 games, you can see it's going like he's shooting the ball well now. And when he's shooting the ball, that really sets up his first step. And I think the more aggressive he is going to the rim, I think he's going to get to the line a lot more. There's times where he's going and he settles at the end, and he's not settling. He's going towards the rim. And I think when he does that, it puts a lot of pressure on the officials. They're looking at, okay, he's going to the rim. He's not fading away. Those are fouls. And so I think that's a big plus. He's making his free throws, and he's playing off people well. And he's doing a lot of good things for us.
Tom, I know it's only a few shots, but how important is it for Quickly to hit a few threes there tonight, especially that second one?
And I think for all the players, we're not going to shoot great every night, but getting some easy buckets. You can run the floor hard, or you can move without the ball. And you get a couple of easy buckets, and that gets your confidence going, and things can change real fast. And things always change in this league. They change quickly. They can go from being great to being bad real fast, and you can go from being bad to great real fast. So you just got to have a steady routine. You have to have a strategy for everything. If you're not shooting well, what are you doing? What's the strategy? Right? Are you coming back at night? Are you putting extra work in? Because usually that's when you groove your shot, you're going to feel good and you'll make. And we all have a lot of confidence in him shooting the ball.
Coach, without Caden tonight, what was your main focus on defense to guard this Pistons team?
Well, off the dribble, and we knew that they attacked the basket, they get to the free throw line, so that was a big concern. Also, the penetration, which leads to the second shot. And we knew from what Alec had done with us here before, this was his first game, and there'd be a different dimension to what they were doing. And so, it was, if you're in this league, you're a great player. You can't get here without being a great player. So every team in this league has the talent to beat you. So you got to be ready to go every night.
There we go. All right. That was Tom Thibodeau, ladies and gentlemen. I agree. I didn't think the Knicks shot the ball particularly well tonight. They were playing not a good basketball team in the Detroit Pistons, which, made the game, allows you to not shoot the ball particularly well and still come away with a win. The Knicks could have played better. I think they could have played much better tonight. They're going to have to if they're playing on getting some wins on the road. Anyway, let me get to another caller here, and then we're going to take a look at the Knicks' upcoming schedule. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, Sam, this is Wes. I'm back.
What's going
I
on?
am the pothole reference guy.
Yeah.
So
Do me a favor.
A New York City pothole.
Right. Hey, do me a favor. Can you get a little bit closer to the phone? Because it's you're a little bit far away. It might be a little hard to hear you. Oh, looks like we lost him. I'm sure he'll give us a call back. Anyway, looking at the Knicks' schedule, ladies and gentlemen, they play the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday. Right? Again, that game is at 12. All right, so that's an early game. Be prepared for that. And then they go on a road trip. Right? They go to Utah, play the Jazz. Then they play the Denver Nuggets. Then they play the Golden State Warriors. Then they play the Phoenix Suns. Then they play the Oklahoma City Thunder once again. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's a tough schedule right there. This is an important time for the Knicks, in my opinion. Some important games coming up. They've got to beat the Thunder. I'm not exactly sure what to think about the Utah Jazz, right? But, that's a game that you can say, well, it's winnable, right? Because I don't know if I'm sold on the Utah Jazz being, the number one team in the Western Conference right now. All right? And I'm sorry, the Knicks play the Thunder at home, and then they go on a road trip. So they've got to beat the Thunder. They beat the Thunder, they'll be 7-6. And then they go on that 5-game road trip. They can get the Jazz. That'll be nice. Then they're 8-6. Now you got to deal with Denver, which I hate that matchup. I don't like the way the Knicks match up against that team. Phoenix, I don't think the matchup is bad, but obviously they're the Phoenix Suns. They're good. You know what I'm saying? Then who else did I mention there? After the Phoenix Suns, you play the Oklahoma City Thunder again. If the Knicks can beat OKC, they'll be 7-6. Then beat the Utah Jazz to make themselves 8-6. And then if you can snatch one game between the Nuggets, the Warriors, and the Suns, snatch one of those games, then beat the Thunder again, you can come out of that trip still 500. Tough task, though. No doubt about it. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yeah, set my back.
Oh, there we go. What's going on with you, man?
Yeah. So I said, I didn't say just a pothole, I said New York City pothole.
New York, okay.
Now, that's a special kind of pothole. That's a pothole that can cause damage to the rim.
Some damage. Yeah.
It can realignment.
It can
be
cause,
careful around it.
Yeah. It can cause some serious damage to your entire front end. Might total your car.
Exactly. So that's what Brunson is. Exactly. So it's not like a code. You know, he's there. I can cause some damage. If you're real careful, you got skills, you can get around him. See what I'm talking about?
Okay.
It's not like a straight up code. Okay. Now, Fournier is a turnstile. If you didn't pay your fare, he can snatch one from you.
Yeah.
But if you pay your fare, it's a little bit easier to just walk right through there.
Right.
Or, you know, if you do it, Brooklyn style, you just hop the turnstile real quick, but you may have a penalty. You know, the cops catch you. I'm just saying. I'm not calling them code.
I heard they're not even coming after you no more. I heard they're not even coming after you no more nowadays. You know what I mean? I don't even think they're coming after you no more. Yeah.
Well, in that case, maybe the turnstile is almost like a cone now.
Right.
Or maybe a little, but you still got to hop it. You can't
still got to hop it. You got to get over it. You got to get over it. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, as far as tonight, satisfied somewhat. I'm still concerned on the 10 for 40 on the 3-pointers. Because last week, especially after the Nets game, when and then Minnesota, Randall was talking about, oh yeah, hit the threes. We put up 60-something points, going 25% for the first half on threes, which means we can put up 60-something points with 2-pointers. Let's run our pace, keep our pace up, be efficient on 2-pointers, and we can still put up 120 points without scoring on 3-pointers that much. So that can win almost every game we play, because most teams can hold them on a 120. So I'm just saying, let's not rely on the 3. Let's use it, to keep the other team honest, but not rely on it, man. Let's go and do what our team does best: in the paint, mid-rangers, breakaways. My Obi breakout, my Obi little sneak out there, let Obi do his thing. Don't get on his case too much. He's my boy. But we got a future, and I'm still seeing, like I said, 500, man, and that's not good enough for me still. So I'm ready to make a deal. If someone wants to make a deal, let's make a deal. Come on down. Let's make a deal. Okay?
Yeah. Listen, I'm interested, at least until the deadline. I want to see how this team shapes out. That's where I am with it. You got to get a sample size. You got to give the guys some time to, come together. Well, I guess I don't want to say at least until the deadline, but I want to give it some games. Give it to 20, 25
someone
games.
Offers a little piece of meat. Give me a little taste for something like offer me something for Fournier and D-Rose, and I'm gonna jump on it, man.
Now, listen, I would if there's something out there for Fournier, I'd make that move definitely, without a doubt. If I could make that move for Fournier, I'd make that move easy. I'm talking about guys like Quickly and Obi and Grimes and Cam.
Right.
I'm not ready to make those moves unless I'm bringing in a star. And I'm not saying that those guys are stars, but I'm saying, like, if you've got to package 2 or 3 of those guys to get a star, I get it, right?
Yep.
But I'm not going to trade one of those guys for another role player. You know what I mean? Because they're young guys. They're 22 years old. So let's see, how they grow and how they develop. Unless you can get a star out of it. Fournier, he can go.
Right. Facts.
He can go.
Man, I love your show, though, man. You're doing your thing, man. I love your show.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Knocking you out.
No doubt.
All right, boss. And tell Kev to cheer up, man. Cheer up.
Yeah, I let him know. Cheer up. I'm
Okay.
telling you. Appreciate it, man. Oh, man. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks gotta they gotta go ahead and they gotta take care of business. My man, Fly God. I like your comment here. You know? He said, when Nas said, don't shoot, OG, don't shoot, he was talking about Julius Randle. If you guys haven't heard KD3, you need to go check it out, because as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to pop it in and, well, not pop it in. I'm going to turn it on. I used to pop it in back in the day. Now I'm just going to turn it on, sit back and chill and listen to the album. I've been banging the album all day long. You know, I did a little initial review last night on the front stoop. Me and Tony, you know, we expected to do just a 30-minute show. We ended up doing an hour and a half show. It was a really good show, you know, and we listened to it just one time last night. We listened to it one time and then jumped right in and started doing a review on it and talking about it. But it's a banger. It is a banger. So, yeah, go check that out if you haven't, because it's a really dope album. He does mention the Knicks, you know, once in there. You know, going to the Knicks game, such and such. But go check that out, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, I'm going to get up out of here. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for jumping on and joining me. Like I said, sometime this weekend, I'm going to do that Westchester Knicks show. You know, and I'll do it weekly, and then have, you know, maybe some small updates throughout the week, but do a full show every week focused on just the Westchester Knicks. We'll talk some Knicks in there, but focused on the Westchester Knicks. All right, so, you know, look forward to that this weekend. And then, obviously, I'm going to see you Sunday morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. I appreciate your time. I'll be peaceful. Have yourself a great weekend. All right, and I'll talk to you soon. I'm out.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.